I guess right off the bat, we may as well start with the defending champion Dodgers. I mean, I think a lot of people view this as Dodgers kind of versus the field. You're probably going to get Shohei to pitch at some point this year. You add Sasaki, all the other pitchers that they brought in, they're going to get healthier. Like, is this as easy as kind of Dodgers versus the field? And is this a team that's going to win 104, 105 games this year?
Yeah, it's the biggest win total I've seen ever since doing this. And if it was just about the win total and they didn't care about the playoffs, they would easily go over it. And what I mean by that is they're stacked. Now, you can't take into fact that the injuries that they've had over the last 4 years has been something they have to deal with. That's why they have 102 starting pitchers on their rotation. But I think there's going to be some complication in how he manages that, meaning they're going to try to win every game. Don't get me wrong. But when push comes to shove, they're set up to win a World Series. I think that is what's going to be the most important. I don't know they're going to be pushed in their division to really matter at the end of the year. But if everything goes according to their plan and what their roster is, they should win this division easily. And then I think they're going to set up September to look to get guys healthy to make a deep run. They did not have the right formula to win the World Series last year, but they won it. Give them credit for that. They had beat up pitching, an unbelievable bullpen, but there's going to be some carryover effect for some of those bullpen arms, I'm afraid, as the season plays out. That's why the depth of their starting rotation is going to be so important.
Let's turn to the team they beat in the World Series last year, the New York Yankees, without Juan Soto in the lineup. How does that affect sort of Aaron Judge's season? How would you attack Judge off his MVP year without Soto in the lineup?
I think it's going to be fine for Aaron Judge. Yes, that's the ultimate protector. I thought the Yankees did way better. If they weren't going to sign Soto, they made way good moves. I mean, they did things they could accomplish their roster. Now, you can't account for Cole being out for the year. That is devastating. I thought they were heads above the rest as the favorites in the American League with Cole. Now it's going to be more average because they don't have that monster in the front of the rotation. But having their lineup be a little bit more flexible than it's been, I think they're going to learn from last year. They're going to be more fundamentally sound. They're going to base run better. But I think collectively they have a lineup that's going to complement Aaron Judge. Look, Aaron Judge by himself, people pitch to him. And the reason they pitch to him is because he can go in streaks where he doesn't see the ball very well. But then when he's in streaks where he sees it very well, you're in trouble. So that's to your question. I think he still has enough protection in the line.
Yeah, and that was the situation last year in the World Series where he really did struggle. 58 homers it was last year. I think his total this year is around 48 and a half. So if you like Judge, you're getting a little bit of a discount. But we mentioned Garrett Cole being out. A couple of pitchers coming back this year at some point from injury. Spencer Strider, Sandy Alcantara. You have had Tommy John surgery as well. These two guys are frontline Cy Young type starters. How can we expect them to kind of work themselves back into the rotation? Are we going to see like 4-inning starts from these guys, 5-inning starts max? How soon do you think we're going to see these guys get back to the level that we know that they can be?
Well, the disadvantage that some of them have in coming back, they're max effort guys. Alcantara doesn't look like a max effort guy. He just has the phenomenal delivery and everything about him I love as a pitcher. That's why, you hope these guys can stay healthy. But when you're a max effort guy, it's going to slow walk. I hate the way that we're treating pitchers today. I've said that publicly, and it doesn't seem to ever change. But I think for a guy like Spencer Strider, who's super talented, but he's been kind of brainwashed by analytics to throw the ball right down the middle because he has the most unhittable fastball in the game. But you know what that translates into? A false sense of security, because now when you have your best fastball, which is let's say 30 starts, you're going to have that maybe 15 times, maybe 17 times. So you're going to dominate. And in those other games, when you don't have that electric juice, you're going to give up a lot of solo home runs or home runs. So I think in an evolution of pitching with the stuff these guys have, I would say Strider is maybe a little bit more of a disadvantage, but when he gets connected back to knowing his elbow's healthy, obviously he's a 12 to 14 strikeout guy. But if he could cut down on those pitches and last a little longer, you're going to see a dominant pitcher that we haven't seen in a long time.
It's so funny you mentioned that because I'm thinking back to a couple of years ago when I had a nice Spencer Strider ticket to win the Cy Young, and that was his problem. Like he would be unbelievable. Then he'd have that start where he'd go in 2 2/3, allow 6 runs and a couple of homers, and that's ultimately the year that Blake Snell did win that Cy Young. So that hit a little too close to home for me right there.
Well, and that's why I'm not anti-analytics, but when you're all analytics and you don't teach these guys what the metrics of really learning how to pitch and you just kind of go in quadrants, then you're kind of hypnotized by that style of pitching. And when it's on, it looks great. And that's why everybody beats their chest and goes, see, I told you, he has the most unhittable fastball in the middle of the zone. But who in the history of the game wants to pitch in the middle of the zone? It's just not normal. So I think that is the next level for Spencer Strider if he can pitch the quadrants instead of just over the heart of the plate.
John, people love to wager on long shots to win divisions, to make the playoffs. Is there a team that or teams that you've picked out this year that did not make the playoffs last year that have a chance? Maybe the Mariners get some offense going a little bit. I know they were close last year. The Reds as well. Like, do you have a team or two do you think can make the playoffs that was not in last season?
Yeah, the West in the American League definitely going to have one of those teams, if not two. It could be a Ranger resurgence. It could be the Seattle Mariners, who everybody loves because their pitching is so good. I would say Seattle tops that list. And in the National League, the Central's wide open. I think somebody other than Milwaukee possibly wins that division. I like the Cubs. I know they had to start in Tokyo and they had to face the Dodgers right out of the gate, but I think they made enough adjustments that the Cubs are going to have a fine year and they're going to be really good. I've always said the Pittsburgh Pirates are dangerous, but they never seem to really want to win when it matters and do the things you have to do. If Pittsburgh isn't relevant this year, it's a shame. Because they have the talent, they have the pitching, and baseball's better when Pittsburgh's relevant. So they've always been my dark horse, but every time I seem to get on that bandwagon, they show me why. Over the last 10 years, it's the same old story.
And you would think that is a team that baseball would love to rally behind with Skeens, and you got O'Neill Cruz, who's a marketable guy. Yeah, that's it. My wife's from Pittsburgh, so I know all about Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
It's a good town, so yeah, she would be very happy with that as well.
All right, John. I'm a Giants baseball fan, and I love nothing more than hearing guys who played against Barry Bonds tell their favorite Bonds story. I know some of your former teammates have said stories. I know some guys that have played him. What's your favorite Bonds story or favorite Bonds memory?
Well, I know Barry very well. I understand him. I know what makes him tick. Obviously, great player. Some people who don't understand him might have a different read on Barry Bonds. I challenged him way too much, but we had a scenario in the All-Star game where there was a misunderstanding. I won't go into all of the details. It was like his home run hitting competition against Mark McGwire. Somehow he thought I was rooting for Mark McGwire. I was not. I was on the same team as his. And he came to me and he said, Smoltz, I'm going to hit a home run the next time I face you and do a pirouette at home plate. And I said, Barry, you're a bigger man than me. If you do that, more power to you. And I said, Barry, I'll tell you what, if I strike you out, I'm going to sit on the mound after I strike you out. And he goes, matter of fact, next time I face you, I'm going to hit 2 home runs off you. And that's how he left it. September comes. We're in a position. We're going to win the division. He hits 2 home runs off of me and beats me single-handedly. And after the game, he come running on the bus screaming, where's Smoltz? Where's Smoltz? And he starts telling everybody, I told you that's what I was going to do. And listen, I have all the respect for a guy who backs up what he says. That's why I think he's one of the greatest all-time players in the game. But here's the deal. I mean, fortunately, I never really lost to him in the postseason, or he beat me in the postseason, but I did give up 9 home runs to him. I tipped my hat. He said he was going to do it. He did it. There was nothing I could do to prevent it. And for Barry Bonds and we get to he gets to enjoy that story.
Does he still owe you a pirouette?
You know, thankfully, he didn't do a pirouette because he was more focused on hitting his second one. I think if he'd have done a pirouette, he might have been worried that he didn't have an opportunity to hit his second one. So, but those battles when we were in the West all those years, people forget we were in the West. We faced them so many times. So his average was under 300 against me, but his numbers was high.
Yeah, no, I can remember the home run chase, and when I was working at another network on another show at that time, it was always who was going to be. We actually had a little lottery, like who was going to be working the late Sports Center that night, the night that Barry Bonds broke the home run record. And Fortunately, I did not win that lottery, and I was free and clear of staying till about 4 in the morning that night. But John, that was awesome.
Thank you.
Appreciate you taking the time out to do that so much, and have a great year, my man.
I appreciate it. Talk to you guys down the road.
Bear Bets full episodes drop twice a week right here on the Bear Bets YouTube channel. Remember to subscribe to stay ahead of the odds, and let's celebrate all of our wins together.